Hi everyone, welcome to A Beer with Brad, episode 41. Let's take a walk and go see what's in the fridge today. Tonight I'm having a 400, which is a collaboration between Hop Butcher and State Fair Brewing Company. There's a lot of cool things to tell you about this beer. Some people get upset when I don't do a local beer. This is a Midwestern beer, but there's a very cool story for this. I'm going to tell you about it here. State Fair Brewing Company is in Minneapolis, and Hop Butcher, which I've had before, is in Chicago. So back in the day, there was a Chicago Northwestern passenger train. You guys all know I like trains. I photograph trains all the time. I wish the Chicago Northwestern was around to photograph today. Still find a few random Chicago Northwestern locomotives around the area, but it's a railroad that was absorbed by Union Pacific back in, I think, 1995. So back in the day, the Chicago Northwestern, or before that, the Chicago, St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Omaha, otherwise known as the Omaha Road, they had a passenger train that ran from Chicago to Minneapolis. And the Chicago to Minneapolis was 400 miles, and they called it the 400 Club because 400 miles, and they did it in 400 minutes. So got the can here for the 400 Club. Very cool can. It says right on it, State Fair Brewing Company, done in collaboration with Hop Butcher. And then down here it has kind of like almost a little railroad look to it, and it says Minneapolis, Chicago. But the coolest part is when you rotate the can around to this side, it actually has a railroad looking map showing Minneapolis, St. Paul, Eau Claire. I'm going to have to take my glasses off to see all these. Anyways, down to Adams, Milwaukee, Racine, Evanston, and then finally Chicago. So it has the whole route map on there, the 400-mile map. So just a super cool history piece. With my liking of trains, my liking of beer, good beers, good IPA, it all kind of came together. And a super cool can, super cool art. Love the map. So today I'm drinking a 400 Club, which is a collaboration between State Fair Brewing and Hop Butcher. And it's a delicious beer, by the way. It's a great IPA. It has some really nice flavor to it. It's not like a super hazy, really easy drinking. It has a little more of a flavor, a little more of a punch, but it's not bitter by any means. It's just a really nice IPA. Before I get going on what I'm going to talk about tonight, the new Natural Landscape Photography book, Natural Landscape Volume 3, arrived in my mailbox this week. This is the one I entered in and I got into, one of the later rounds of judging with one of my photos. I did not get in there. Cool thing, my buddy Josh, he was in the last year episode 2, or Volume 2. He also has a picture in Volume 3. So, just a very cool book, lots of awesome pictures by a lot of awesome photographers. I highly recommend it if you're into landscape photography and you want like real, true, they're processed but not like overly manipulated photos. A lot more. I mean, it's a natural landscape, but it's also more of a natural photo. Very cool book with a lot of cool stuff in it. So I did not enter this year. The entry date for Volume 4 is already passed. I entered the Volume 3, did not get in. And it just came down to a time thing, and I don't know that I really shot anything new that I would have entered for this since Volume 3, so that would have made it a little harder to go back and dig, but still an awesome book. I still support the cause because it's really cool. The judges are great people, very talented photographers themselves, and so I really like this book every year. So glad that arrived, and actually it arrived in the middle of the College World Series last week, so I have not even had time to look at it yet. So I turned to Josh's picture, checked it out, and I looked at the cover, and that was about it. So tonight I'm going to talk about the College World Series. Just got done photographing it last night. The championship game was just ended about this time last night, and so I'm actually recording this about a little over a week before the video is going to come out, but it was fresh on my mind. I have a good chance to do it tonight, and so I figure I'm just going to sit down, get it done, and get the video edited, and on my, just get it uploaded, ready to record. I'm not going to have to worry about it for the next week or so. Oh, real quick before we do that, in a little bit of a different space here. As you know, last time I recorded outside because this basement flooded, and when we finally got all the carpets cleaned, or restretched, cleaned, everything ready to go, started moving stuff back in, we decided that we were going to lay it out a little bit different in here in the office. So my desk is here by the window now. Where I used to record Beer with Brad, actually the table would have been about right here, and then the chair would have been there, and then the bookshelves and stuff you saw would have been along here. So that's going to go over on that side of the room now. Have not moved that stuff back in here yet. Just still kind of figuring out. I have a super cool picture on that wall that I don't want to move. That's kind of the only wall in here that it can go on. So might have a little bit of a different look when I put it back together. But there's so much going on right now. That's kind of a back burner items. So on to the College World Series. This year, once again, I was photographing for the White and Blue Review, which is a Creighton website. Creighton was not in the College World Series. They haven't been in since back in the Rosenblatt days. But as the host school and a local media outlet, they do let the White and Blue Review photograph. So Ken and I both did it. You can see both of our photos. If you go to whiteandbluereview.com, you can see all our photos. I'm going to show you, I think, I was going to do my top 10, but I, like everything else, I picked 22. So I'm going to show you. Some of them, there's like a 2 or 3 photo series, so that kind of ramp the number up a little higher. But just going to show you some of my favorites from the World Series. It was a great time again. The crowds were amazing. I mean, every single night. There was a couple afternoon games that weren't quite as full, but pretty much all the games were full. The ticket prices on the secondary market were sky high. The lines waiting to get in were extremely long. The concourses were packed. It was just overall, it was a great series. Started off with the first weekend had some really great games that came down to walk-offs. A couple not as exciting, but still good games in the middle, and then a 3-game championship series between Tennessee and Texas A&M. And then Tennessee ended up winning it and celebrated on the field. We'll get to that in a little bit because that's kind of a little bit of an interesting topic too. So, first photo was from the first game I photographed. And oh, by the way, these photos are going to be in time order from the first game to the last game on the Canon 5D Mark III, and then we're going to start back over and go through the Canon R5 photos. And the reason is because that's just the naming convention of the 5D Mark III is a 1 series. It starts off with like a 2x4 blah blah blah, and then when it switches over to the R5, it goes to a 881 series, and then blah blah blah. So I did not renumber anything. I just pulled these straight off my backup hard drive and just put them on my 22 favorite on, and so they're going to be in the order. So as far as the camera goes, everyone's always like, oh, what camera are you going to buy next, or what do you use, and why are you using your new camera? For sports photography, especially, a lot of these were shot in the daytime. That Canon 5D Mark III does perfect, and it does a great job with taking the pictures, and it also has a lot smaller file size. Now, granted, I could shrink down the file size of the R5, but why not just keep using the old camera for sports? I mean, you're at a baseball field, it's dirty, you're setting stuff on the ground. It's just the easiest way to beat up a camera is photograph a baseball game. So I like using the R5. There's a lot of things I like about it. Now, I really did miss on, the 5D, there's a lot of good things on it. It's still a great camera. The one thing I did miss from the R5 is the electronic viewfinder. That was like the one hiccup when I bought the R5. I was like, I don't really care for the electronic viewfinder, or I told myself I wasn't going to like it. But now, if I'm shooting with a camera, especially in the bright sun, and it does not have the electronic viewfinder, I don't like it. I wanted to go get my R5 out of my bag and switch cameras on the bright sunny days because I could not review the photos on the back of the screen. I had to have that electronic viewfinder, but It's like a first world problem, so I just kept running with the older Canon 5D. Camera has a ton of miles on it, but it's still putting out great pictures. So most of these also, first one you see here, and most of them were also taken with my Sigma 100 to 600. And for baseball, I love that lens because when you're in a camera well in the dugout next to first base and you're shooting first base, you want to be at 100 or even maybe even a little less if you had it. But if you're shooting someone in the outfield, you want 600. If you're shooting across, to the other team dugout, you want the 600. That 100 600 is an awesome range for baseball, so I really enjoy that lens. It's too slow for nighttime stuff, so on the night games, I did not bring the 100 600 and the 400. I have a 400 2.8 from Canon, and that lens weighs a ton. I just left it home. It never went to the World Series once this year. In a perfect world, I would have a newer Canon lens that was faster and lighter, but me being kind of cheap when it comes to spending money on gear, I figured I'm going to do the 100 600, and then when it got dark, if I was still shooting action shots, I'd put on my 200 or my 70 to 200. It wasn't the best for outfield stuff, and I just kind of knew that, and I didn't shoot as much in the outfield, focused on more around the bases, and I went from there. But primary Canon 5D, and then Sigma 100 to 600. So the first shot here is NC State. The second baseman is throwing the ball barehanded to, well, I guess he always throws the ball barehanded, but he has that hand out, just released the ball, throwing it to the shortstop, trying to turn a double play. Just a really neat expression on the face, got the ball right in front of his hand, nice lighting, kind of a little bit backlit, but his face is well lit so that his hair is kind of glowing a little bit. So overall, just a neat scene there. On to the second second photo here is Florida State and Virginia. Florida State second baseman has the ball, and he's just chasing down one of the Virginia runners, kind of in a pickle between first and second base. Just kind of, he has this menacing look of like, I'm going to get you, and then the umpire is there, at the stern, I'm going to make the right call here. So it's kind of a neat scene. You get the four people all kind of coming together there to make a nice picture. Next picture from the same game, you got a Virginia player jumping as high as he can to catch a home run ball at the fence. You got a fan in the outfield kind of pointing at him, which adds a little bit of interest. It's kind of funny because the kids are all like, almost a look of shock, and then the adult fans like pointing at him like all serious. So kind of a fun picture. Next picture is a Florida State player. I believe this would be the left fielder, kind of leaning out, not quite a full dive, but leaning out, trying to catch the ball. He got the ball right at the end of his glove. Next picture is a Tennessee player, and this is going to be a 3-photo series here. So you got a Tennessee player making a leap to grab a ball. You see the ball is right in the base of his glove. You got the fans looking down on him. And so he catches the ball, he smashes into the Creighton logo, and falls back, and his hat falls off, but he's looking down to make sure he still had the ball. So just kind of a cool 3-photo sequence that I just liked how that kind of told a story, how everything came together. Next we're going to go to, this would be Tennessee and Texas A&M. Hold on one second. Here you have Tennessee and Florida State. The Tennessee player has the ball. He's trying to make the tag while the Florida State person's kind of arching his back to get away from the tag. Just a cool scene. The Tennessee player kind of has a smile on his face. Just kind of like the way the look on his face made this one a little more interesting. So then this is a 2-photo series. This is again Tennessee. The second baseman has the ball. He's getting ready to throw it. and you can see the ball is right in front of his hand because he dropped it. And then the next picture is the look on his face when he realized he had dropped the ball. He was trying to throw to first base, get the guy out. So you got the first photo where he's getting ready to throw the ball and he drops it, and the second is the look on his face. So just kind of a cool sequence I was able to capture there. The next photo is a Texas A&M pitcher, a really nice light. A lot of the photographers that photograph the College World Series every year, like me, Steve Branscombe, and Dylan from the USA Today, the World Herald photographers, Chris, and then like AP photographers, you got Rebecca. They all know that there's going to be this little sliver of light. So the sun is above the stadium, it comes down, and there's an overhang over the upper deck and suites, and then there's a little gap. And so after the sun kind of goes over the field, or goes down behind the stadium, you get this little gap, and sun comes through and it lights the players up really nice. So a lot of us are just kind of looking forward to catching a pitcher in that light. This one I was on the third base side, kind of looking into the light, so he's very much backlit. If you're on the other side of the field, it's really nice because it has a dark background behind him, and he's all lit up in front. So just a cool timing, unique feature of that stadium where you get that nice light. Here we got another two picture sequence. You got the Tennessee player, the Tennessee catcher, and a Texas A&M runner. Runner sliding in the plate. The Tennessee guy is going to put a tag on him. You got the umpire also there looking real hard at the play. And then the second picture of that is the Tennessee catcher is on his back, but he still has the ball right in the top of his glove, kind of like what they call that, a snow cone or whatever. And then you got the Texas player looking at his coach, and his coach is throwing his arms up like, what is that? And then you got the umpire in the background like this. And then you have a Texas fan in the background saying safe. So there's a lot going on in this picture. I don't know what's funnier, that the coach saying, what are you doing, to the runner, or the Texas fan in the back with the safe arms out. But and it's cool that they have that ball right there, like the catcher's almost looking at me. It's kind of a cool picture with just all the different elements. So I really like this one. Next, we got Tennessee and Texas A&M again. So the last one was part of the first game of the championship series. Now we are on to the second game of the championship series, which was Sunday afternoon. An afternoon day game the championship doesn't have too often. This game was hot. I mean, Sunday and Monday were both, the feels like temperature was in the hundreds. This game actually, I felt, was worse. The temperature was a little lower, but something about the direct sunlight beating down it was a rough day. I got a headache. Went and had to cool down a couple times, which normally that's not me. I can be out in the heat all day, but this day was just rough. So you have the Tennessee first baseman with his cool shades on, catching the ball. The ball is literally right in front of his glove, and then you got the Texas A&M player diving back into first base, just got the hands out and some dirt flying up over the hands, and then again you got the umpire in the background watching the whole thing. So really cool little scene. I don't get a lot of pictures from the third base looking back to the first base and get this clean of a shot. Usually between the third base coach, the third baseman, the pitcher, and whatever else, there's always seems to be people in the way. This was just a nice, and I was way at the end. I think usually at the TD Ameritrade Park, or I guess it's now Charles Schwab Field, from the very far end from the dugout is like the most preferred spot, and the AP always gets that. Next to them is the World Herald, and next to them is USA Today, and next to them is NCAA Images, and then usually ESPN, and then the rest of us fill in. And the AP was not in their spot that time, so then I slid down and took their spot, which really helps because then you can actually see first base behind the pitcher's mound. It's not blocked. So cool scene I was able to capture here because of being in a little bit of a better position. Then here we go. Last night, this is the Tennessee second baseman. Just caught a ground ball and was throwing it to first to get the player out. Kind of had his sleeves rolled up because it was so hot. Fans were kind of the fans were very vocal in this series because I guess that's a SEC thing where the Tennessee and the Texas fans and all the schools in the SEC are very vocal about, kind of trying to razz the other team while they're on the field. So fans were giving him grief about having his sleeves rolled up, but kind of looks cool in the picture with all his big muscles out throwing that ball to first base. Here we got one where the Texas A&M, and I guess I don't know really why I included this. This is the most interesting picture. Not sure why I put it in here other than he missed the ball. So this is the ball, and it's just a few inches short of the glove. So Texas A&M right fielder diving for the ball. This one is the same. Not the same. So I'm confused now why this guy was in right field. But so here's the right fielder, home run ball. You can see you can see him up on the fence. He jumped up to try to catch it. You can clearly see the ball over the fence, and he just has that look on his face of disappointment or I don't know. Disappointment's probably the right word. And then you can kind of see the pitchers in the bullpen also kind of have this kind of a not happy look on their face. So it was pretty cool. There's actually a couple different frames of this where the ball was going over it and it bounced and went back up. But this is the one where he was actually looking the most you can see the most of his face on the camera. So that was the last one of the Canon 5D Mark III. See, most of them were all done with the telephoto lens. So now I'm going to change to the Canon R5, which most of the time I either had on my wide angle 16 to 35 or I had my buddy Mike's fisheye on. Mike's fisheye is the one I use a lot on the stadium panoramics, arena panoramics, hockey, basketball, baseball. So I really like that. This one was the 16 to 35 and behind the home plate at the national anthem. And the cool thing about this one is the two fighter jets right above the national anthem singer's head. There's two fighter jets flying over. There was a fighter jet flyover in the first weekend also, but this one, the blue skies, and it was all just a little bit better. I was in a great spot, framed in the greatest show on dirt. So, cool day, cool picture, cool sky, all kind of came together. If you zoom in really, really close over, it would be the national anthem singer's right shoulder, or on this picture, the left side of the national anthem singer. You can actually see my camera's lens and then my forehead, but who cares, right? Here is the best sunset I got of the night. Again, this was with the fisheye. Beautiful sky, beautiful clouds. The colors of the clouds were awesome. There may have actually been a better color sunset a few minutes after this. So I was up there, I was leaning over the railing, and then there was a pitching change. And so I kind of backed up a little bit, and then there were people coming and going, so I tried to move out of everyone's way. And that fisheye lens is awesome, but the glass part sticks out away from the lens quite a bit. It's kind of, it has a rounded look to it. And when I moved out people's way, that fisheye hit my arm. You think, okay, what's the big deal? Well, is Nebraska in June, and it was 90 whatever degrees and 90% humidity, and I was sweating. My arms were soaking wet, and there was just whatever, sweat all over the end of that lens. And after that, you could not get me to take another picture. Luckily, another photographer I knew walked by, and I asked her, I said, hey, do you happen to have a lens cloth I can use for just a second? She did. I was able to get it clean, popped it back on, but by then the clouds had changed so much in a matter of 2 minutes that, to me, this is the best where it's more balanced. The later one had more color on the right side of the picture, but it had lost the color on the left side of the picture. So I chose this one where it was more of a balanced color. Still really cool. I'm not sad about this at all. There were actually some pictures a little bit before this I took that were really cool with the different colors too. So awesome night. All right, let's make sure. I thought I forgot one because I did. It's just in the wrong order. I don't know why. All right, so we'll move to the next one, which this was again the Sunday Championship Series, Texas A&M versus Tennessee. Again with the wide-angle fisheye. I went out, and I've never done this exact shot before. I've shot from the outfield many times, but I've never walked down to the first row of the bleachers with the fisheye and shot back in towards the stadium. You can kind of see in the middle. If you were up in the press box, then we might see it better in a different photo. They actually cut the shape of the trophy into the outfield grass. Super cool, right? The Charles Schwab Field ground crew does an awesome job. It feels like perfect all the time. Cool designs in the outfield, and everything's just immaculate. I mean, it's amazing the work they do and the beating this field takes over these 2 weeks, and it still always looks really good. So again, fisheye, looking back, it has the whole rounded grass part. I don't have quite all the warning track in there, but that's fine with me. I actually cropped in a little bit to get some of the yellow at the top of the fence out. I thought the orange or the red dirt kind of made a nice border around the bottom of the field. I wish the Charles Schwab Field, they put a brand new sign up above home plate. It looks great at nighttime, but in the daytime you can't really see it. So I wish it was a little bit brighter or something different about it in the daytime, but overall it still looks awesome. And so here is the final picture of the College World Series. This is when Tennessee won. They ran out and they jumped in a group, but they didn't do a dog pile. I've been photographing the College World Series since 2010. I've been going to the College World Series for years before that. I've never seen a team not do a dog pile. And I guess the most disappointing part of it is, this is awesome that you get to see all the fans back there with their arms in the air, even though it was on the Texas side. There's a lot of Texas fans, but there's enough Tennessee fans with their arms in the air. But you cannot see a single player's face in this picture. The dog pile, you wait and people start jumping on, and eventually when the people start jumping from the back or the side, you see someone's face. This, you don't see any faces. And one of the things I learned early on in sports photography is, there's exceptions to every rule, but you really want to see the player's face. You want to see the emotion in their face. You want to see the happiness that they won. And this is just a bunch of people. Another photographer said they were just dancing around out in the outfield. And the craziest thing was I was on the Tennessee side. Now there's always two schools of thought here where you want to be. So I just looked up in the camera and stopped recording. So I believe it just happened. I'm going to hopefully be able to piece this together. So I was rambling on about the teams not doing dog pile, and I was on the winning team side, which usually a lot of times they end up either in the middle of the field or a little bit closer to them. Some people want to be on the other side, so they had the background of the winning team. If I was on the other side looking back this way, it would have been all orange Tennessee people, and they all would have been in the hands in the air. But I was kind of banking on them running a little bit closer to their dugout. But instead, they ran right down the first base line. Here they're still by first base, but they ended up out in the outfield. Never did the dog pile, never. And then don't even get me started on what happens after this, because basically if you got about 10 seconds after they win to get your photo, or there's 8 million different people out there. And with me working, I don't want to describe. Basically, I have a gray vest. So the gray vests are the last people out of the field. The white vest, the green vest. White vest is NCAA. Green vest is NCAA. Black vest is the team people. So in different orders, those three people get to go out. We're the last. And I don't have a problem with that, because most of the time I get my dog pile shot right off the bat. I get what I want, and then all those people out there. But when they didn't dog pile, and then I was struggling to find a picture after that, I never did. Every time I went to take a picture, there was 16 photographers with different color vests standing in front of the people. So I basically took this. I had my camera in my hand. I took in the moment. I watched the players celebrate. Coach ran down the line and dove into the crowd. All kinds of cool things. It was a cool scene. It was great to experience, but unfortunately, I just don't have the pictures to go with it. But so this, out of all the championship pictures I've done since 2010, this is my least favorite. And I only threw it in the video today to show you that it was my least favorite and explain why. It's just a bunch of players standing in a big group. I mean, yes, they won the national championship, but there's nothing to make it a good picture. So, and then my last picture, which is my favorite of the whole College World Series. I don't know why it is last. Oh, I do too, because my camera goes, 0001, 0002, all the way up to 9999 starts over. And so it's pictured 9561. So it was the last one I had in there before the counter reset. Last picture, my favorite picture of the whole College World Series, went upstairs to the press box. Luckily, I was able to find an empty radio booth. There's 5 radio booths besides all the TV and the scoreboard booth and all the offices and everything up there. There's 5 radio booths. The one of them was open. So I went in, I was able to put on the wide angle fisheye again, lean over outside the window, and then take this picture. And the thing I always like about the wide angle is that the curving that it does. I believe the camera's about to shut off again. Hold on. I'm getting an error message that I can't see from here, and then it shuts off when I walk over there. But this picture, I like the way the fisheye just takes the stadium and just kind of wraps it more back into itself, and just makes it for a really neat picture. So the clouds are cool. This is it was the same evening as the other cool sunset, but it was earlier in the night where there's more light on the clouds, more light in the sky, a little bit lighter blue. But just the whole shape of everything coming together with the cool sky, big crowd. It's just my favorite picture of the whole World Series. So I really like it. Can't wait to. We have a neighborhood get together coming up for the 4th of July. I'm gonna make a print of this for that. I always donate a picture as like a door prize. So I'm gonna donate a picture of this for that, and that way I get to see what it looks like. So. Well, thanks again for tuning into episode 41. Hope you enjoyed my College World Series photos. It's always a great time. I enjoy doing it, but by the time it's over, I'm like, whew, ready to relax for a little bit. It's a long week and a half, but it's fun to do. And by the time next year rolls around, I'll be ready to go again. If there were more games this week, I'd not be excited to go, but always fun. I always enjoy it. It's an Omaha tradition. I've been photographing since 2010, and I just love doing it. I love the scene, the environment. Love taking cool pictures like this. So appreciate all of you tuning in. Again, if you want to go see all my photos, whiteandbluereview.com. It's a Creighton fan website that I've been taking pictures for probably the last decade or so. That's where all my basketball, Creighton basketball, Creighton soccer, volleyball. That's where all those photos end up. So again, whiteandbluereview.com. And you can find all the pictures there. And then I always tweet out links and share some links on Facebook too. So again, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I will see you again next month.